Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to bring to you the Big Mike Talks End of Year Awards. Yes, I know it's not quite the end of year yet, but I'd figure I'd do this as an early Christmas gift to you all. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take moments, matches, whatever, give them awards, and maybe describe what I liked and disliked about them. So in that case, let's dive into this one. We start off a little negative, but it's whatever. And it's the worst match of 2023. And without a doubt, it's EC3 versus Tyrus for the NWA World Title at NWA 75. This was not a good match. In fact, this was easily the worst match of the year. Seeing Tyrus hit the ropes tiptoeing was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And then go for the... And look, I don't want to rag on NWA too much because there's a lot to like about the NWA. They're creative. They have good matches. This was not it. So, moving on from that negative situation to this one, and it is my most disappointing moment of 2023, and it's the whole handling of the Elite CM Punk situation. Now, I am not going to go over everything that happened, so I'm going to give you some cliff notes. So, first, this actually started in 22, which is crazy to think about. But it was before Hangman Page and CM Punk competed for Page's World Heavyweight title. Page said something that Punk didn't really like and didn't approve of, which, I don't know, that seems a little weird. Instead of going to talk to Hangman Page, Punk decided to keep it to his chest until after All In which he won the World Heavyweight title, which, not my favorite thing in the world, but then in the post-show presser, he goes and pretty much dunks on the entire promotion with his boss, Tony Khan, sitting right next to him. And I'm going to say this. Tony Khan, at whatever point, you could have stopped this. Anyway, after Punk finishes up, he goes back to his locker room. And then Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Christopher Daniels, who's head of talent relations, and one other office worker go to Punk's locker room. There's talks of them kicking the door down, but I don't believe that for 2 seconds. And they had a fight. Both sides got suspended. Both sides got stripped of their titles. Investigation happens. Elite come back. They win back their tag titles. And then apparently Punk was out injured for a while. So then there's talks of, will CM Punk come back? Will they release him from his contract? Then Collision comes into being, and they run the United Center in Chicago. CM Punk returns. He pretty much dunks on the Elite again without really doing it. And then he pretty much runs Collision like he owns the place, pretty much picking and choosing whoever is going to be on that show, including denying Christopher Daniels, I think Ryan Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler's little brother, because of a tweet in which Gorilla Bear CM Punk, and apparently there was also Punk did try to reach out to the Elite, but the Elite every time would just say no to a meeting, which that's on the Elite too. Anyway. So then during like pay-per-views, the Elite and Punk would be in opposite sides of the arena to avoid each other. This whole thing had the feeling of two siblings taping their room off after a big fight. That's what this felt like. Anyway, continuing on, then they're ready for their next big show, All In Wembley Stadium, which is a very big show. Punk chooses not to go with the rest of the crew in advance, so he goes like the Saturday morning of, takes a red eye, gets to the airport, standing outside waiting for his ride, which apparently AEW doesn't do that, which is suspect at best. So then this pisses Punk off. He finds his way to his hotel via the London train system they got out there. And he gets to the arena. He's all ready to go. Then there was a situation with Jack Perry, who Punk had some previous run-ins with. Not hitting, but Jack Perry wanted to use a real glass spot to, simulate an injury so he can go on vacation, which, Punk didn't agree with. Perry went and did it anyway. And, Punk was the first match on the main show. Perry was the last match on the pre-show. Perry got into Punk's face. Punk then choked him out, started hitting him. Security had to break it up. And then CM Punk went after Tony Khan, who is his boss. So then he goes out, has the match with Samoa Joe, and has the feeling that he's going to leave. In which he does, because now he's in WWE. Which is, I'll talk about that a little later. And so, there was a team put together to review all the evidence, and it was enough to fire him. And I'm going to say this. The reason that this was just so disappointing, I wanted the CM Punk AEW thing to work out. Like, I'm not going to put all this blame on Punk, because both sides handled this really, really badly. And I just kind of feel like the whole situation could have been handled differently. We could still see Punk in AEW. Maybe Collision isn't a thing. I don't know. I feel like this whole situation could have been avoided with one conversation. Anyway, moving on from that little bit of a downer moment, we go to this next one, which is the worst pay-per-view / PLE from, any promotion. And I'm going to go WWE Fastlane. Overall, it was a filler card, and it absolutely felt like it. Like, don't get me wrong, there was some good stuff in there, but overall, it was predictable. It was fine for what it was, but it wasn't all that much fun. So, moving on from that one, we got the biggest WTF moment of the year, and it's Ric Flair joining AEW. Now, why is this a big WTF moment? Because on Twitter, I'm not going to call it X, Tony Khan has taken pot shots at Vince McMahon over his sexual misdoings. And to turn around and to sign Ric Flair is just, I don't know. It feels like Tony Khan going back on his morals to just sign a big name to keep his TV deal. It's gross. It's it's something I want to move on from. This next thing is the overrated feud of the year, and it's pretty much the Bloodline versus everybody. Now, I'm going to say this. I have enjoyed the Bloodline feuds with, like, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. But here's the thing. Lately, they have all ended the exact same. Ref bump, Bloodline interference, spear, 1, 2, 3. And it's I don't know. I feel like this could have been handled a little bit better, and, well, obviously Cody should have won at WrestleMania 39, because, that would have been interesting. So, as much as I did enjoy it when I first started watching it, I'm kind of over it. Like, I want WWE to move on to something else. Give someone else the big title. Create some new feuds. Ooh, and this one hurts me a little bit because it is the biggest fall from grace of the year, and it's the Celtic Warrior Sheamus. And he started off the year white hot with feuds against Drew McIntyre, his matches with Gunther. But it just feels like lately he's kind of transformed into more of a background character again. It's time to make him a main character once again. I still love Sheamus. Sheamus is really coming to his own in 2023. But let's continue this momentum. Let's give him more. And this is going to be an interesting one. We now go right into the positives. And my feud of the year, it's something I am very surprised by. It is Athena versus Billy Starkz. Now, they didn't start out as opponents. Billy Starkz was actually the minion for a while of Athena, thinking that they were allies. Eventually, Billy Starkz did turn on Athena. They had that match at Final Battle, and now they're kind of back together. Honestly, it went from a kind of comedy feud to one of my favorite feuds of the year. Like, it's really underrated, and if you have Honor Club, go give this feud a watch. It's awesome. This next one, best weekly show of the year. And I can't believe I'm saying this. It's WWE Raw. Now, don't get me wrong. 3 hours, still way too much for a weekly show. However, there isn't like a down moment. The backstage, interactions are meaningful. They set up feuds and matches for the future. And it's been so refreshing to see from what we've gotten in late era Vince McMahon, where you have one thing happen, copy, cut, paste, week on week on week. And it's a lot more enjoyable. Now, I'm going to say this. Just because I didn't say your favorite promotion doesn't mean I don't like it. I really enjoy Dynamite. I like what they're doing in the Continental Classic. Impact, low-key, is one of the best weekly shows not on TV. MLW is good. NWA is good. So, honestly, Raw has just been the most much-watch weekly show maybe ever. Well, maybe not ever. At least since, like, the Attitude Era. Anyway, that's that. My most improved wrestler of the year, it's Julia Hart of the House of Black. And ever since she's joined the House of Black, she's fit like a glove. And every time she goes out there to have a match, she keeps getting better and better. She has simply evolved from where she started from with AEW, which is great. I love this. Next up, we got the biggest surprise in wrestling, which maybe wasn't the biggest surprise ever, because I think a lot of people knew he was coming. CM Punk's WWE return at Survivor Series. As much as I have my disagreements with Punk, it's obvious no one saw this coming. Especially after his comments, not just in AEW, but when he left WWE. There was just a lot of negativity towards WWE, and his return was definitely a big surprise. So, we'll see where this goes. My MVP for 2023. And Loki, he needs something more. Like, this guy is seriously one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's Impact's own Speedball Mike Bailey. And if you haven't seen a Mike Bailey match, go watch his match with Will Ospreay at Bound for Glory. Because that was a damn good match. My Booker of the Year award goes to someone who's really turned around their product, made it way more watchable and way more enjoyable. It's Triple H. Now, I'm not going to say this as a diss to Tony Khan or anyone else. There's a lot to really like about, AEW and Impact and all these other promotions. Triple H has really turned this WWE around, and it's just so awesome to see. My best pay-per-view of the year, and it goes to Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory. All the matches are laid out really, really well. Hell, to kick it off, we had Chris Sabin versus Kenta. Think about that for 2 seconds. And then that main event. Ooh. Oh, Dios mío. Will Ospreay versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Hot dang, that was a good match. And honestly, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Oh, and then it also has something I'm going to talk about in a little bit. My Women's Wrestler of the Year. And I can't believe I'm saying this because she's already so good. It's Timeless Toni Storm. Now, Toni Storm, as a wrestler, she's always been good. There's no doubt in my mind. But this Timeless character has really brought out it really puts her over the edge as a superstar. This Hollywood starlet gimmick, it works. It's good. Is it a little goofy? Sure. But it makes her stand out way more on this. I'm going to say this, and I might get a little hate. Generic women's roster. Now, don't get me wrong. I like a whole lot of people on this women's roster. But Timeless Toni Storm has really turned this thing into a money maker. Next up, my best women's match of the year. And it's at Impact Wrestling Rebellion. It's Mickie James versus Trinity. And I'm going to say this. If you haven't seen this match yet, go give it a watch. It is absolutely fantastic. And so far, it's been the last match anywhere of Mickie James. Now, personally, I don't think this is going to be it for Mickie James. I think we'll see her somewhere down the line. But overall, this is my favorite women's match of the year. Tag Team of the Year. They've had kind of a down year, but overall they've had some entertaining feuds and stuff. Of course, it's FTR. And yes, maybe I'm a little bit of a homer, but FTR will always be one of my favorite tag teams. Their current feud with House of Black is a little bit silly, but I am enjoying the heck out of it. Next up, the OMG Moment of the Year, and it's the return of TNA Wrestling. Now, I am a massive TNA kid, like Will Ospreay. I did get into TNA a little late in like 2007, but seeing guys like Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Jeff Jarrett, all the Petey Williams, this show had me captivated for years when I wasn't watching WWE. And now to see a complete rebrand from Impact back to the thing I loved, it's definitely something I didn't see coming, and I am very excited to see what the future holds. My match of the year, it's no surprise, it's Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door 2. I did not see their first bout at Wrestle Kingdom, but their rematch, woo! This was a very, very good technical match. You could feel the animosity between these two. And overall, it was just a great, great matchup. If you haven't seen it, go seek it out. It is easily the best. And this is where we wrap up the awards. My Wrestler of the Year, it's the Yes Man himself, Bryan Danielson. This is one of the guys I feel like could have a great match with a broomstick. He's just one of those, he's greatly technical. He's selling this eye injury really well in the Continental Classic. He's easily going to be one of my favorite wrestlers for years to come. And it's going to be sad to see him stop wrestling, which is a shame, but apparently it's coming next year. So, we'll see what happens. Alright then, that is my yearly awards special. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, this week is going to be a little interesting, because we got so either tomorrow or on Friday during the day, I'm going to cover Raw, NWA Power, and then AEW Dynamite. Friday evening, I'm not going to be watching SmackDown or Rampage because I have some plans that I completely forgot about. Saturday, I'll watch Collision, although I might be a little busy. And then at some point during the week, next week, I'll watch the MLW holiday episode. Then next week is going to be interesting because there's not going to be a new Raw. It's going to be a best of to give the talent the week off, which very nice from WWE. NWA has their holiday episode in which they just show some extra matches, so we'll see what happens there. We'll still have Dynamite. Impact is a best of. MLW, I'm not sure if they're going to have a show. We'll see. And then SmackDown, Rampage, and Collision. So, next couple of days are going to be interesting. I hope you stick around to keep up with the goings on in wrestling. So stay tuned for that. Please like the video. Comment on your own awards. Let's hear some of the awards you would hand out. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.